Welcome to the Pelvic Power Hour. Real answers to real questions from real women. Today's topic, when I put my key in the door, I have to pee. Hi, Isa Herrera here, and I help women have happy vaginas, happy bladders, and happy lives. Welcome to my Pelvic Power Hour, where each week we tackle a question from you so that you can empower your pelvis, transform your life, and become the chief health officer of your life. Here we cut through the noise, the gadgets, the gimmicks, and the magic pill solutions, and we bring you real answers. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss not one single episode. And spread this to everyone, okay? Everyone, especially send it to your mother, your sister, your girlfriend, and the woman you know who always has to go. Because when we spread this information to all the women in our lives, we heal together as a collective. Now, today's question comes from Denise from Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you, Denise, for sending this in. And I picked yours because I get this one constantly, which tells me that thousands of women listening right now are living exactly the same way. Nodding, maybe a little relieved that somebody finally is saying out loud. And queens, every one of you is about to find out two things nobody has ever told you. Your bladder is not weak. She may be angry, and there's a reason for that too, and it's not the reason you think. And here is what Denise wrote. She said, Isa, it's not really the leaking that is ruining my life. It is the urgency. When it hits, I get no warning at all. I know where every bathroom between my house and the grocery store is at. I plan my errands around them. And the strangest part is what happens when I pull into my driveway, because the second I put the key in the door, it hits me like a wave, and sometimes I do not make it down my own hallway. I have started saying no to road trips. My daughter invited me to a concert and I said no because of the lines. Isa, I'm 58 years old and my bladder is ruining my life. Denise, thank you for that. And here is the whole episode in one sentence. Nobody told you that that was menopause. The condition you are living in is called genitourinary syndrome of menopause. Genitourinary. It is a compound word and it has two halves. And I will bet everything that you have never been told the second half. Dryness, atrophy, the vagina. They named this condition in 2014. It used to be called vulvar-vaginal atrophy, and they threw that out. They threw that name out because the old word only described the vaginal tissues. And it left the bladder completely out of it. So they changed the name of your condition on purpose to put your bladder back inside of it. So over a decade ago, that's when they changed the name. And the news still has not reached the women it was named for. In 21 years and 22,000 women, I can tell you barely a third have ever heard the name. About 1 in 5 has been given a diagnosis. And even fewer have been treated for it. Today you get the whole word, both halves, why your front door sets it off, and the two things that you can start doing today together right here on the podcast. And Denise, before I teach you anything, you need to know how I know. My menopause was pure hell. It hit me exactly where yours did. The key in the door. I would put my key in the door and my whole body would go into an emergency, right? The running water did it too. I could hear a tap somewhere in my house and I was gone, right? And then I started leaking. So I did what I did. I did what you did, actually. I decided it was weak. I decided I was weak. So I did Kegels because a doctor told me to do Kegels. I did them and I did them and I did them. And queens, listen to what nobody caught. My leaking was coming from urgency. It was never a weakness problem. That's what I thought. I was doing the right exercise for the wrong diagnosis, and I was a pelvic floor physical therapist, a young one, trained licensed, and no one had taught me this either. It got past me. So you can stop blaming yourself right now because it got past you too. Nobody mentioned my microbiome for the bladder. Nobody told me my bladder might be angry and irritated. Nobody offered me anything natural, not once. So I thought I had a UTI. I took the antibiotics over and over again, and things got worse, not better. And the only words anyone ever gave me were dryness and atrophy. And nobody said the word menopause to me about my bladder. Now sit down for these 3 numbers because they're going to shock you. Of women who have this, only 35% have ever heard it exists. I was one of them. About 20% get diagnosed, and only 24% are ever treated for genitourinary syndrome. This is not a you problem, Denise. This is a naming problem on a massive, massive scale. And I was one of the 65% who never heard of it. And I do this for a living. And there is a villain here, and it's not your doctor. The villain is the word. He was handed a term with no bladder in it, and he passed it on in good faith. Nobody sat him down either. And that is the gap. I am closing it right now for you and everyone listening on this podcast. So Denise, here's the thing that no one told either one of us. The urge and a full bladder are 2 different things. The urge is a signal. A full bladder is a fact. Most women assume that when the signal fires, the fact must be true. It is not. That signal can fire when your bladder is a quarter full. You have to run down that hallway in a panic, sit down, produce barely anything, and the thought is, what is wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. Your bladder is not weak. Your alarm is badly calibrated. Think of her as a smoke detector. A healthy one goes off when there is a fire. Keep testing it, and you end up with a detector that screams when nobody is making toast. And here is how we train a bladder to scream at toast. 1 just in case pee at a time. Because when you leave the house, do you go? Before the car, before the movie, are you going? Almost every woman listening here is saying yes, and we are proud of it. But every time you empty a bladder that was not full, listen up. You teach her that this volume is your new signal point. So she does what? So she alarms there. So you go earlier, which teaches for even smaller still. And this is the spiral you and I have both walked. We have both walked down this spiral, right? And 2, here is the front door and mine. A conditioned reflex. Plain and simple. Pavlov, the dogs, the bell. The bell got wired to the food. Your key in that lock is the bell. Your brain paired coming home. We're going to the bathroom a few hundred times, and now it's automatic. Cold weather does it. Running water does it. Does that to me. And Denise, there is a name for it, and they call it Latchkey Incontinence. And no one told you that either. And listen, because this is the most important sentence in the episode. If it was learned, it can be unlearned. This is not damage. It is a habit living in a nervous system, and the nervous systems are teachable at any age, right? 3, and here is where menopause walks back in. For decades, we were taught that urine is sterile. In 2012, researchers show that it is not. Your bladder has its own community of bacteria the same way your vagina does. And your bladder and your urethra are estrogen-sensitive, exactly like your vaginal tissue. So when estrogen falls, both environments change together. And that is not 2 problems, queens. This is 1 problem. And that is why your bladder belongs inside that word. Researchers have seen that this bacterial community looks different in women with urgency. It is an active area of study, and I will not sell you more certainty than exists. But this is why you are never going to squeeze your way out of it. The tissue changed, the alarm got trained, and a Kegel does not fix either one. So here is your whole problem in one sentence. You do not have a weak bladder. You have an alarm that was trained badly, sitting in tissue that menopause changed, and nobody named either one for you. Different problem? Thank goodness. Because both of those things you can do something about. And stay with me, because at the end, I'm going to tell you the one thing I take every day for the organ itself. So let me hand you 2 things you can start today, and we're both going to do this together right now. Number 1, stop running. Ride the wave instead. Right now, the alarm fires, and you run, and running is the worst thing for 2 reasons. Movement jostles the bladder and makes the signal louder, and panic pours gasoline on the nervous system. And here's what almost no woman knows. An urge is a wave. It rises, it peaks, and it passes. It does not climb forever. Outlasts about 30 to 60 seconds, and most urges drop back down and hand you your dignity back. I teach this to my queens, and it has a name. I call it the urge wave. Learn to write it, and everything changes. Now do it with me right now, because muscle memory is the point. Stop moving. Freeze right where you are. Do not walk to the bathroom. Now sit down. If you can, press the back of your heel firmly onto the floor. That pressure helps. Soften your jaw, unclench your teeth. Most of what you're doing is clenching right now, and breathe slowly through your mouth. Long, slow breaths. Right? Longer exhale than inhale. Long exhale. And that is the switch that turns your nervous system from an alarm to calm. Now give me 5 quicks. Baby Kegels. Boom. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Right at the peak of the wave. Light, not a death grip. When you're squeezing these little squeezes, send a calming message straight back up the bladder and quiet her down. Then breathe again and wait. And let the wave come up and go down. Let the wave come up and go down. And then when it passes, you will walk calmly. Not run, walk. That is the urge wave, Denise. Freeze, exhale, 5 quick squeezes, wait, walk. Practice it today when you are not desperate, so it is there when you need it. And break up right away with the just in case peeing. You only go when you actually need to go. When the alarm fires at a time you know is nonsense, you ride the wave and you wait 5 minutes. Just 5. Then next week, 10. And that is bladder retraining. It is the most powerful free thing in this episode. Number 2, teach her to let go. Hand on your belly. Breathe in through your nose. Expand. And here's the part I want you to feel. Imagine that you're breathing all the way down into your vagina, and she's opening, releasing, and letting go. And breathe in and gently out. The opening of the inhale, that's the reverse Kegel. And for a tense, urgent basin, that letting go is medicine, not the squeezing. And that shocks everybody. Drinking less makes urgency worse, not better. I know what you've been doing, Denise, because I did it too. Less water means concentrated urine, and concentrated urine irritates the lining of the bladder. Hydrate throughout the day. Taper off around 8 or 9 p.m. at night. And now, Denise, what I've given you today is real. It is free, and it will move you. But I'm going to be straight with you. I'm going to be real straight with you. Everything I gave you trains the alarm. Now, one of them does a thing for the organ underneath. 2 different jobs, and almost nobody separates them. You can teach the alarm to stop firing. You're at your front door, and I want you to. But if the bladder underneath is angry while you do it, you are teaching a calm lesson to a body that's not calm. That is the second job, and it has a name in my house. I call it bladder feeding. The retraining works on the signal. The bladder feeding works on the environment of the bladder that signals it, and that's really important. So let me tell you what I take myself and what the women in my community are calling their little magical pills, and that is my Total Femme Ultimate Bladder Health, completely organic, and I'm super proud of it. And the finished product is certified, so go look at it, whatever's in your cabinet right now, and see if it says that, because almost nothing in the industry is organic when it comes to bladder. 1,350 milligrams, 4 botanicals, every single one of them organic, Z-mannose, cranberry, hibiscus flower, uva ursi, 60 capsules, no GMOs, no dairy, no gluten, no soy. They support the urinary tract health and help you maintain a healthy urinary environment. So you're working from the inside out as you're training the outside of the bladder. That is bladder feeding. Inside work, outside work together. And because I have been the woman who spent money on something that did not work, you have 60 days. If you do not feel a difference, send it back. And you get every penny back. No questions. That is on me, not on you. So here is the one thing I'm asking, and it's the only thing. Go look at it. Ruganic.com. I'm going to put the link right here as well. Ruganic.com/bladder. Everything's on the page. What is in her and what the women who take her every day have to say. Go look. Check out the details. You have been managing this alone a long time. Let me hand you something. Denise. And thank you so much for your question. And thank you for your honesty, because it took something to write down and send that to a stranger. And I want to leave you with one thing. Go back to your daughter and tell her you want to go see that concert, because this is a trained reflex and not a life sentence. And trained reflexes can be untrained. And I have watched women far worse than you get their whole lives back. The road trips come back. The lines stop being terrifying. The hallway stops being a race to get to the bathroom. And you did not get old, Denise. You got a badly calibrated alarm in tissue that changed, and no one gave you the whole word. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of my community and my family. I love you guys with all my heart, all my soul, and thank you. You are the Chief Health Officer of your life, and we heal together as a collective, and I'm so super proud to bring this information to you. And my Ultimate Bladder is there waiting for you at ruganic.com/bladder, and I will drop the link here. I love you guys. Hit that subscribe if you like what I'm, handing down to you, and share this with all the women in your life, because it's really important that we start talking about this as a collective. And so many of these things are never said out loud, not even to your doctor. So real answers to real questions from real women, and thank you for being here.